Hey, it's Chris, Liege Games. So, reaction video. Reaction! CMON's announcement. No details. Again, everyone's making assumptions. The first assumption, when this was revealed, the Silver Surfer, everyone's like, oh, it's going to be Marvel. It's going to be Cthulhu Death May Die retheme. Okay, fair. Speculation. That was by far and away the leading conspiracy theory. Second, now that we have seen, again, the Dice Tower, Man vs. Meeple, and the combination of Board Game Co. and Quackalope, the three pillars of something, I call them whatever you want, we have seen a giant Galactus. Now, if you missed it, it's a giant Galactus, both a zombie one as well as a regular one. Which, again, everyone, even the Man vs. Meeple and everything else is going, oh, this is Zombicide Marvel. Marvel Zombicide. And, you know, since I started recently doing over-under bets on my upcoming Kickstarter videos, I think I'm going to extend that to this video right here. I'm going to do a little bit different. I don't think it's going to be a plain Jane Marvel-themed Zombicide. I think this is going to be slightly different. And now, again, this is going to be splitting hairs. It's going to be a little nuanced there, but hear me out. Liege Stradamus is going to be predicting that I think this is going to be full-on heroes versus zombie heroes. And now you may go, you know what, this is, you know, that's just Zombicide by calling it another name, Chris. No, believe me, hear me out on this, because Zombicide, you know, the sluggish, they're gonna come get you. No, I don't think we're gonna see that iteration of Zombicide with this. I'm saying it's going to be something different than that. Especially now that we have seen Galactus's sides. We're going to see either they can be corrupted, they can be switching sides. It's, you know, more maybe of a one versus all, or a switching allegiances in that sense, or, you know, just drafting whichever ones you want, as one side is zombies and one side is superheroes. I think it's going to be different in that sense. It's not going to be rote Zombicide with a Marvel theme. I think they're doing something else, and I think the Galactus 2 models is the key. Now, how do I feel about Galactus in general? No, I think that's going to be a huge cash money grab. And I hated the fact that they did that with Cthulhu Death May Die, where they included a scenario with it and they content locked it. If you've heard me say anything about Kickstarters in these situations, is that you content lock gameplay with superfluous non-gameplay stuff. Because you know that if you're going to get one of those Galacti? Does that work? Galacti, I think it does actually. If you go back to Marvel's Zombies, the comics, if you read through that, it's actually referred to as the Cosmic Galacti, because cosmic powered zombies, superhero zombies, eat Galactus and they become the collective Galacti. But that's going back into comics lore, and we're not getting sidetracked by that right now. But what I'm saying is that is the key to things in terms of seeing those 2 models, and the fact that it's probably going to be like $200 per miniature, which is already going to probably put this thing at $500 before they start throwing in potentially other mini expansions, because you know the core game itself is going to be $100, right? Unless they're going to somehow bundle the Galacti. I like that now. Get that on my Liege shirt. Liege of Games. Galacti! Anyway. Side note. Should I open a store? Anyway. So, I think you're going to see something different because of that. Now, whether they bundle it or how many expansions there's going to be, I think there's going to be a massive change and departure in terms of that, because you've got Spin Master as well as Guillotine Games and CMON. You know, you've got the zombies, but I don't think it's going to be vanilla Zombicide. And I say that hoping to be right. You go, well, Chris, why else would you make a prediction? Well, because I want to see more. Like, I am not a big fan of Zombicide. I'm not. I own no Zombicides. When Zombicides have come up in the past, Liege of Games has gone, easy pass, and not the kind you're driving through. And so I'm hoping that it is different, because I love the Marvel iterations and the Marvel theme. And I wish it was almost more Cthulhu Death May Die, because that would appeal to me in a much stronger fashion. But if it's not, I mean, that's where it's going to really test the boundaries. And what sort of things are we going to be looking at here? Is this going to be cross-pan Marvel? Is this going to be Marvel United? I mean, it's clearly different because the Silver Surfer is not a chibi. It's not. And so that's kind of cool in that sense. And the whole reason and rationale behind this, again, is the Galacti, but as well as this slow tease. Now, we've already had 2 teases, and they're doing a 3rd tease, essentially, on the 22nd, which, again, is atypical. It's very atypical, which makes me think that there is another swerve in there. Now, again, it's going to be zombies, clearly, but I think they're holding something back for the big reveal. When is it going to be? Who knows? Who cares? That's less important, frankly speaking, right now. Besides the fact that they have like 6 unfulfilled projects already. But the other question is going to be, obviously they timed this for the 50th. Obviously they did it from that side of things. What all are you going to be looking at, again, going back to price point, what all are you going to be looking at in terms of total funding? And are they going to try and hit it up in this dead zone between Thanksgiving and Christmas, which has typically been just that on crowdfunding the past couple years? I mean, you had ISS Vanguard that was post, for the most part. I think, actually, no, it actually launched in between in that dead zone. So looking at it from that side of things, this dead zone is, I mean, it's dead from crowdfunding. I have about half a dozen games right now that I know of prior to campaign launch that are launching in December right now. I know more in January of 2022 than I know in December of 2021 at this point. This is remarkably actually a very good time to be launching stuff because the competition is dull, is non-existent for the most part. Things are dying down before the holiday surge because people are more concerned about saving money than for Christmas. And there's this lull. And when you've got the 2 biggest IPs, one in pop culture and one from CMON's own staple, it's going to get more eyes. And if it's not going up against other things, people are going to be more inclined to get it because their money isn't being spread elsewhere. It's true. So, do I see them launching it in the beginning of December? Absolutely. Do I really want them to launch in the beginning of December? Not really. What I want to see is True Vang finished. I want to see Marvel X-Men expedited. I want to see those other things get out. And it seems also a little bit weird to have a second Zombicide not fulfilled. And I guess that brings me back to the earlier point of why I also think it's not going to be just a classic Zombicide with a reskin. Is because I don't think we've had 2 Zombicides going overlapping simultaneously in that sense. So that's another reason I still don't think it's going to be the bread and butter that a lot of people now after this second reveal are still heavily hyping. Now, clearly, I'm going to be wrong about most of this because that's how Liege Stradamus works if you've seen the other over-under bets that I've pretty much gotten all wrong. And I know that these other 3 channels probably have more information than they're allowed to say at this point, because of the time frame gap between the Silver Surfer and the Galactus reveal. I mean, I would doubt that they also got those boxes separately. Like, they only had one when they did the first video. No, they probably had them both and were delayed, because otherwise, how do you have a video out that, you know, from Quackalope that says what the 10 speculation things that we're thinking about? Well, because you've already seen the Galactus and you've already made it and edited it and done it, so you clearly had them both at the same time. And that's fine. So let's go into that, though. I wasn't planning on it. Let's go in. What do you want to see out of this? Let's assume Marvel. Let's just assume Marvel. I want to see the Thanoses, the Silver Surfers, the other heralds of Galactus. If you're not familiar with the other heralds of Galactus, I mean, Galactus had many heralds that brought planets to him, or that he used to scout planets that he devoured. And so that's the other thing I could see is this going to be like Galactus versus Galactus and the Heralds versus what sort of thrall type situation where they are bound to what Galactus is doing are they going to be in? Because otherwise, why would you choose Silver Surfer? That's an odd choice to be revealing. It goes along with Galactus because he is most commonly known as the most popular Herald of Galactus. But there are plenty of other things. If you were going to do a regular Marvel-ish thing, I mean, just look at Dice Throne. Dice Throne went with the nuts and the bolts, the most obvious, the most apparent, and the most well-known choices right from the get-go. And again, I'm not criticizing them. I think that's very smart from a marketing standpoint. So that makes me think, why did you choose Silver Surfer and why did you choose Galactus? I mean, I know why you chose Galactus, but why did you choose Silver Surfer in that sense too? Again, gears within gears working. Liege on overtime. I promise I'm not super caffeinated either right now. I mean, the other question, is Galactus going to be tied in with the most recent movie, The Eternals? He is sort of another cosmic entity like the Eternals, like the Celestials, like has been teased all along. And the question is, are you going to see that iron be struck as well? Because that is very hot as the latest Marvel released, and it may get, again, more eyeballs in the first place. And I promise, again, I'm not caffeinated right now. But the other side of things, as I just mentioned, the Heralds. This is a list of all of the other characters that have been Heralds. People like the more common Firelord, the Destroyer, Terrax, Nova, ones that are a little bit more well-known. Then you've got a couple others here that are sort of much lesser known or used in other situations. And the other side of things is, if you're going to include Galactus and Silver Surfer, who are the other teams that are almost hand-in-hand included with that? Well, the Fantastic Four are almost always adjacent. I mean, there's a reason that Silver Surfer was used, because the whole concept on the introduction of Silver Surfer was that Galactus was using him as a herald to bring him to Earth, and the Fantastic Four make Silver Surfer realize the error of his ways, and then he turns on his former master, and then he gets set free, although he's kind of entrapped on Earth for a little while. But I mean, it's the Fantastic Four that do that. So if you're anything going to see, you're going to see that portion of things as well. This article here talks about whether Galactus is a Celestial or an Eternal. Well, he's really neither, but this is where it ties in very well with the Zombicide thing in terms of themes. Galactus is a very specific cosmic entity that balances between eternity and death, is a remnant of the former universe. Right? Really makes sense now to be using Galactus from that side of things thematically from the get-go. So going back to that, I guess, what else would you rather or want to see in a Marvel zombies versus heroes side of things? Because as they say in the Marvel What If universe, as well as the Marvel Zombies, actual comic book, the heroes don't lose their powers, they don't lose their minds, they just get a craving for flesh. And so it's one versus the other. So again, are you going to see corruption? Are you going to see the ability to get corrupted and switch teams or lose heroes or have that happen? Would you like that? Whether it's players or individual characters, sort of like, with the others, where when one of your characters gets knocked out, you have to grab another one in, but if you run out of characters, that's when you potentially lose. What if you saw something like that? How would you feel about that? Is this going to be a one versus others? No, I don't think this is going to be a one versus many, because I think it's a little bit too niche. As much as I personally love the others in Rise of Moloch from CMON, they have not shown that they have any desire or willingness to go down that route again, as by the lack of support for them just beyond even the own Kickstarter campaign in the first place. I mean, they really didn't support it at all at a retail level. So I can't imagine they're going to go on that route, especially when their cash cow is more of the other model of a cooperative side of things. Now, again, is it going to be fully cooperative? Is it going to be competitive? Which would you prefer? Personally, I'd probably prefer cooperative. But would they go along the lines of, well, I guess really having both? Would it be more like Arcadia Quest, where you've got the P versus E as well as the P versus P? I could see that happening very much. But again, the big question on everyone's mind is, how many heroes are you going to have? Is it going to be heroes and villains? What is the dichotomy going to look like? I mean, that was the big succession moment that people were super happy with Marvel United X-Men, right? They included more villains. They included more ambiguousness. They included the way that you can play the villains on the good guy team. And there were tons of them. And it wasn't just what Marvel Dice Throne did. They had a plethora of them. Plethora. Ones that some people, non-Marvel junkies, didn't even really recognize or know. Which was really cool. Actually, I give them a lot of kudos for reaching that deep into the bag of heroes and villains and not just going with the clearly most recognizable and the easy, low-hanging fruit ones. So I'm hoping, if they're really looking to smash record books, if they're looking to get up in the pantheons of the Frosthavens and the Kingdom Death Monsters, it's got to be more than your reskinned zombies, your reskinned Zombicide with a Marvel dressing. Because otherwise people are, they like Zombicide. Zombicide is fine. But I want something more. CMON, show me more, please. Or don't, actually, for the sake of my wallet. But for the gamer side of me, I want to see an evolution to what you have put out in the past. I do. Because that's what gets me excited. This video went on way longer than I wanted to in the first part, because I was just going to react to speculation, and now we went into speculation. So, there you go. What do you want to see? Where is it going to go? What do you think? Stay classy. I love you guys. And tune in for my CMON ranking videos, because there's more where that came from if you like those. So, have a great day. Hope this was entertaining. I had fun doing it, so that's the bottom line. Peace out! I'm done.